Welcome back to KSP 1.4 Making History, and our timeline to get to Duna is coming up, our transfer window, in a few hours. So let's take a look at what craft we're going to send there. Now I was going to send a second automated craft, but then I thought, well, you know, if we're going to send someone, maybe they want to take a one-way trip. We may not have, you know, the huge rockets needed to get two-way trips going, but we can get a manned mission there. Let's take a quick look at this craft and then you'll see sort of what I mean. And I'm also going to leave some options available for us for rescue and for return, because I think we're going to be able to send a station after it or something else after it to refuel this thing. Assuming I've got enough fuel left to get back off the surface, that's a different thing entirely. So let's see how well we do. Here's our lander. We have a regular Mark II lander can with a Rockermax X200 8 fuel tank beneath it that has 1700 Delta V or so. We've got 4 twitch engines around it and lots of science just strapped to the sides. Nothing excessive there. An extendable antenna, a fixed antenna, 2 solar panels, and again more science. At the top here you can see just underneath this heat shield we've got a docking port right in the middle, right in there, and we'll be losing this heat shield anyway. I'm not even sure whether we need a heat shield, to be honest, but I want to keep one just in case. So we'll have that there. It's attached to the docking port because it's something you can detach. Okay, and then we got 4 of the Oscar B fuel tanks, and we got some parachutes. Now these parachutes, we could set them to deploy higher up in the atmosphere, I think. But, oops, that's the lander can. We don't want those. We want the parachutes. Can I get to them? Are you going to let me get to them? No. We can set them higher up in the atmosphere, but to be honest, they will work perfectly well lower in the atmosphere, almost before we're about to hit the ground. They'll slow us right down, hopefully, on Duna. They're just not as good as on Earth, of course, but we've got 4 of them, and this thing is quite light by comparison. What are we? 4.8 tons? Yeah, so. And then underneath, we've also got a rechargeable battery bank, a reaction wheel, and a decoupler. Now that is all going to go on the top of a single rocket. Let's just put this modular girder segment back in. Alright, so here underneath this, we've got our typical Wolfhound AJ-10 stage with our regular Rockermax fuel tank. Beneath that, we've got 2 Jumbo 64s, and beneath that, of course, we've got the big mainsail engine. No skipper, nope, just the mainsail. And then around that, we've got 4 of our sort of Russian fuel tanks with Kodiak engines beneath them. So this whole thing is going to need to take off, and we're at 7,393 Delta V. And more importantly, these early stages have got enough to get off the ground, which was the problem with our other craft for automated launcher. So I think we are pretty much ready there. Let me just make sure I check the staging, of course. That's always something you need to check. Yep, those are fine. This is fine. That's fine. I'm going to lose the fairings. Then we will be, yeah, we'll have those on separate stages. And have we got some actions up as well? Have I already set them up? Yep, so number 1 activates the solar panels or toggles them in and out. Number 2 jettisons the heat shield, because once we've used it to slow down in the Duna atmosphere, and I only got one person commenting, the last one saying, hey, you should aero capture. Well, that's for the other probe. For this one, well, we are going to use the atmosphere, but we may aero capture, or we may actually just aero brake straight to the surface. It depends how well we do this. And we're going to need to come in somewhere underneath 30 kilometers. I want to say somewhere between, 30 and maybe even 10. But I'll maybe aim somewhere in the middle there, because if we slow down enough, even if we miss it, we can then use our engines to slow down the rest of the way. The atmosphere should be thin enough that we shouldn't destroy ourselves doing that. But let's give this a go and let's see how it goes. Do I have enough to put more fuel back in here? I did have. Oh, that doesn't like it. Just over the top. Why can I not click on any value in between those two? That's really kind of annoying. In any case, let's just bring it back down again. There we go. Alright, 7393. Let's launch. Okay, here we are on the launch pad, and we're just going to head straight away. So let's turn SS on. One other thing I did add just before heading out here is, let's move that down. There is fuel ducts there. They were disconnected just in the VAB you just saw because I'd rearranged some bits and pieces. But yeah, you definitely want those in play. And that's 7506, not 7393, once you've got those in play. So 100 extra delta V, never hurt anyone. Off we go. So you'll see our thrust to weight ratio is rising already. We're already at 1.6, so technically we can slow this down a little bit, but you'll see just how much fuel is draining out of those thrusters. So we want to start heading over again as soon as possible, because as soon as these detach, they're going to damage whatever they're going to be heading near. So let's keep on heading over, and we can watch that quite wonderful detachment of those thrusters. Once we get just to the bottom of their fuel tanks. Here they come. And off they go. Hopefully that one is not going to go and hit the base, but now let's increase the boost, and we're going to be heading up into orbit. So there's nothing terribly amazing about this part, so I'll see you up in orbit, and well, hopefully there won't be any disasters on the way. Here we are, we're at the top of our, well, nearly at the top of our ascent, approaching the circularization burn. I've set that up already using precise maneuver. You just press this button and it gives you a decent circularization. Now, it is an estimated burn of 31 seconds, but we only have 15 seconds in this stage. So I'm going to, instead of doing the typical half of this, I'm just going to go at maybe 25 seconds, something like that, because the next stage in is nowhere near as powerful as this one. So that's 29, 28, 26, 26, 25, and let's just burn now. Okay, so we've got decent positive control, and we're 83, 84. That's going to come in. We're about to lose the fuel from this stage, so we can just detach it once it finishes. That should be coming up any time. There we go. And here comes our next stage in. So you see this is much slower, and this is a 36-second burn. So yeah, we did need to, that was, I could have done it a little bit earlier maybe, but this should be fine. We're 85 now, we're right at the apex, and in comes our Perry quite quickly. So that's pretty good. Make sure I'm lined up. And how much will we have left? Maybe 2,500, maybe 2,400 delta V, which should be nice, because we don't need anywhere near that much to get to Duna. And that's just circularized now, isn't it? Yep, 84 by 76. No need to worry about that too much. And I'm going to press 1, and out will come our solar panels just as we hit dawn. Look at that. It's pretty cool. And yeah, so that is now us in orbit with Valentina and Nielden. Nielden's our engineer. He's pretty terrible. He's only just started flying, but other than that, we'll be fine. So now we've got transfer to another planet going on. So let's just see what it gives us. First of all, we've got to go to the map view, zoom out, and choose Duna. Here it is. So it's target. And what you'll see is there's already our other craft, which should be around somewhere. We'll have to maybe go back to the tracking station to get to it, that we already sent last episode. It's on this track. It's probably still quite close. Ah, there it is. Yeah, Viking 1. Okay. So now all that we need to do is just ask it to create a node. And I'm going to leave it at the next transfer window and see what it actually creates. That's 7 days away. I'm not going to bother with that. I want to create as soon as possible. We are close enough to the transfer window that should be pretty good. So let's see, 19 minutes. That sounds much better, doesn't it? And how close will that get us? Ooh, that's much closer. 67,000 kilometers. I do like that. That's plenty to make it so that we can correct with really minor stuff when we get about halfway around. So let's just align ourselves for the, maneuver node. And we're going to be going interplanetary with 2 astronauts. So let's point at the maneuver node. And let's just zoom in and get to, it's going to be at dusk, isn't it? So let's just warp. We'll have to realign once we get close enough to the maneuver node. But let's take a last look at Kerbin as we prepare to leave it behind with this fairly massive injection stage to get us there. So in we come. Alright. And there we go, we've got contact with the ground again. Now, let's just line up for the final burn right there. And now it's 68-second burn, so we're going to split that in half as normal, which means it's coming up any time about now. Let's go. This stage will last long enough, however. It is 68 seconds. We have, well, basically double that, or close to double that. So we will have enough to make any mid-course corrections, and indeed enough to correct things when we get closer to Duna itself, because halfway around, even a slight burn on this will be enough to throw our trajectory quite off course, so we may have to only correct when we're a lot closer to Duna. In any case, what we'll need to do before we do that, of course, is course correct the other thing we've sent ahead, the satellite with the relay on it, which will be able to act as a relay for us on this craft. I mean, we have an antenna, but that antenna isn't huge. Has to be said, it's not really meant to be. We want this to be as light as possible while still being able to land on Duna, and maybe even get back into orbit again. So if we can get all the way back into orbit, then we've got a chance of a nice maneuver with another craft we send after it for a return trip to Kerbin. So there we go, and that'll probably be close enough, but let me just get that as close as I possibly can. And there we go. Well, that's gone a bit too far, but it doesn't matter at this point. What is our approach going to be like? 72,000 kilometers. That's pretty good, and that sets us up quite nicely. So that craft is gone, and this one is going to be ahead. Well, I really hope this is going to stay ahead of it. Might be a problem otherwise. Where are you? There you are, Viking 1. So if we switch to Viking 1, here we are. Here's the graph we had last episode. So we've got some liquid fuel, and we voted for an aero capture with this, hopefully. And we'll see how that does. So first of all, we've got to get to a point where we can actually do a maneuver. So we're going to zoom out of this and make sure we've got Duna set as target, which we have. And then around about halfway to where we're going to rendezvous, maybe about here. Let's add a maneuver here. And let's see where our closest approach is. Okay, so closest approach currently is 618,000. That's a little bit far, isn't it? So if we just try to bring that in, let's leave it on 1 mode. And yeah, we can bring that in with 1 mode. Let's actually spend a little bit more, shall we? Let's bring it into... You'll see what's going to happen is our orbit's going to extend this way. So we're going to have to aero capture, otherwise, you know, we'll just fly right past it into quite a different orbit. How much delta V have we got to play with? Well, we have quite a bit. 4,000, 4,500 even. So, and some of that's still on the injection stage. So if we can use the injection stage to get us close... the other one is nowhere near as powerful as the other rocket engine. So separation is 80, and there is our intercept. So if we focus on Duna itself and zoom in now, we should be able to see an intercept. Yep. And we need to bring this in a little bit just to be able to see where we're going with it. Okay, so we're going to need some radial. Let's bring that up. Very cheap to correct, only 12 or 13 delta V. And then we're going to need some prograde again to bring it in. And here's Ike. Now you can try to use Ike to slow down. You have to pass by on this side of it, but that means aiming for Ike as it's actually going around, not Duna. I'm not too worried about that for the moment. I will try that on another trip. For this one, oh, you'll see we will get an intercept with Ike on the way out, but that's not really terribly much what we're interested in. Let's bring that back again. We're going to have to step down in size again. And in we go. All right, so that's 46. There's no point trying to correct that any more than that. Even this we won't get. So we just have to to make sure we get somewhere close. So we got our maneuvering node set up correctly. And do we have everything we need here to correct? No, because I didn't put a I didn't put a thingy, did I? A gyroscope on this. So we're gonna have to correct with a little bit of engine stuff, engine thrust, and that will do right there. We shouldn't get too far off that mark, and it still should work fine. So we should be okay there. Is there anything here we can do? We can do, let's see, mystery goo, atmospheric pressure. So pressure and temperature we may as well do and send back because it's deep space stuff. We'll turn that off, and we've got plenty of battery power. Yep. So that's going to get us a bit more science. And now we just have to accelerate time forwards until we're close to our intercept. So that's pretty much it. Do I have the alarm clock? Yeah. I'd sort of like to create an alarm for that maneuver node. Is there any easy way to do that? That's the maneuver node for this craft. It won't show the other one on this. Let me just add those alarms and then we'll go from there. And we're going to do the same thing for the Duna lander as well. I'm going to add a maneuver node around halfway around to where we intercept. Not because we need to or anything like that, but because that's the nicest place to, or the minimum place to use delta V-ish to make some changes over here. So I'm not going to have to worry about it too much, but also then I can just press add, add, and then create a maneuver node alarm, add that alarm. And it's 10 days after the Viking one. So we have plenty of time to make that. I'm not going to worry about setting it up right now. We just want to fast forward or get close enough to that. So we're going to have to switch back to Viking again. There you are, Viking, switch to. And then let's fast forward this. Oh, it's already out a little bit. Never mind. Where are we? There we go. Go around again. And let's get to around about here. We're going to hit some alarms anyway, because we're going to hit the transfer window alarm itself. We're a little bit early. Also the Moho alarm. Don't even bother with Moho. Moho, you can get to. It's right there. But the problem isn't so much decelerating for Moho, because you can tend to build that. Let me just actually delete that one. You can tend to build that, but what tends to happen is you tend to be flying past Moho at something, I think it's beyond 8,000 meters per second, essentially, relative to the planet, and that's very hard to slow down when you don't have an atmosphere. So if you have so much atmosphere that, well, you're slowing down if you hit it, put it that way. So yeah, let's head for the slightly easier Duna first, shall we? So here comes the Moho one. It'll slow down the warp again. In fact, let's just get rid of that one. And yeah, warp here, please. There we go. So we're at maximum warp now. We can't get any real faster. We're not far away from that maneuver point either. And it's only 430 meters per second. Doesn't so much matter though if we do it right on the nose on when that maneuver node is, but since we're here anyway, you'll see our Duna lander is sort of overtaking us on the inside, but its maneuver node is still 18 days away. So let's just get a little bit closer. And of course it can communicate with us. And there, in fact, is Kerbin. So we're all sort of still quite close to each other. There we go. So this will be close enough to do this. We don't actually need to worry about getting much closer. Let's again concentrate on Duna itself. So let's focus on Duna. And let's... do I have the maneuver node set up? Yeah, it looks like I do. So I'm just going to increase this and let's burn. Okay, so we've got plenty of delta V, and more importantly, plenty of thrust to weight ratio to do this quickly. And there we are. You can see craft, it's gone too far. Has it? Easiest way is just to create another maneuver node. We're quite close anyway. But to create another maneuver node right where we are, so I'll just backspace and create that. Add a maneuver, refocus. Okay, and then we can control it from here. So we're going to go up to 1s maybe. Yeah, there we go. And again, we can get this quite close, and we shouldn't really try to do any more than getting it close, because we'll need to do more corrections when we get close to the atmosphere. Yeah, that's okay, isn't it? There we go. And now we can bring it down in size. Let's bring it closer to the horizon, or the equator, and bring it in. So that's 100. That's 54. That will do just fine. And unfortunately, I need to enable this engine a little bit just to get us to be able to make this correction. But we should be fine. There we go. It's coming down now. So we should see the line coming in soon-ish. I hope. Here it comes. Okay, and again, that's yeah, I mean, we can chase this all day long, but it's fine for now. Okay, so we're going to need to create another alarm. So what I'm going to do is create a maneuver node when we're right here, just coming into this area. So add a maneuver, and then I will just create an alarm for it. So is that already... No, that's the existing one. Oh no, that's... Oh no, I've removed the wrong one. Never mind. Let's create this one now and add alarm. And that is fine. We know we need to go back to the other ship anyway, which is right there anyway. So switch to, and we should be coming up to the other maneuver node. Okay, and here we are again. We can do this at any point now because we are pretty much halfway around, so I don't need to worry about that one specifically that I created, but we can just move it in a lot closer to where we are just to make it a little bit more accurate. And then we're going to be just watching this closest approach. We shouldn't take us very much at all to actually improve this. So see, this is at 7, and you can see we've already got an encounter. So let's just focus over here. And now, well, now we should be in pretty good shape. Yeah, we can bring that in. Again, just a few delta V. That's all it takes to get really close. And that is icon on the way out, thankfully, not on the way in. Let's bring this to, again, roughly 383, 136. And there's just no way I'm going to be able to adjust that any well, I can, but that's not going to help terribly me get this accurately on the nose. So now you'll see we've actually increased our pilot level, not our engineer level because he's not landed anywhere yet, but the pilot level. So we can now just access the maneuver node system to point us directly at that node. We only need 28.9. So this is not going to be a long burn. 2 seconds at maximum, but let's not go at maximum, shall we? Let's just burn a little bit slower than that, just so everything is nice and set. This isn't going to be exactly where that path takes us because we're slightly off from the maneuver node, but that is more than enough to get us most of the way there. 257. That's, yeah, I mean, we know we can bring it up. Well, wrong way. Let's point prograde, and that will let us going through the let us get a little bit closer the other way. You can also hit caps lock to more finely control this, so I'm just gonna hit, oh no, two way. Oh. I'll correct this off camera. You literally press shift and X really quickly. I should have actually put some RCS on this to do this maneuver halfway around, but RCS means RCS tanks, and then the weight of RCS tanks, and around you go. Okay, here we come into the SOI roughly. Let's get it all the way in. There we go. And that should be it. Can we see Duna yet? Not easily. But there you can see our path. So we're sort of all already heading in. And again, I don't really need to worry about this maneuver node as such because it's coming up like now. But if we put one here, Yes, we can close that one. Let's put it here. Add a maneuver. And then let's focus on Duna if we can. Let me select you. Not Ike. Duna, please. There we go. Alright, so capture. What should we try? Shall we try around, say, 30? Seems reasonable. So let's just bring that in a little. Whoops. That's the wrong direction. In fact, we want radial. Yep, there we go. Just because we're already heading in on this, this is just slowing us down now, prograde and retrograde. So we want radial. And that is not terrible to actually do this at the moment. So let's just bring that down to 22. This is the trajectory mod. It's predicting that 22 will take us into an orbit. Pretty good. Let's just adjust this a little bit. Let's just bring ourselves down towards the equator. And again, trajectories is saying this will still be escape velocity if we come in at this angle. So, well, what are we going to do? We're going to bring it in a little bit closer. 23, 21. It's a tiny, tiny difference. I want that to be as high as possible, but still be an actual orbit. So 22 seems to be about right there. We'll see if this actually works. And of course, we can then make multiple passes through the top of the atmosphere just to slow ourselves and bring us into a circular orbit without causing too much of an issue. However, that is only 23.4 meters per second, and I don't have much control here. I have more control than I had, but yeah, let's just try and move. I don't need another. I need a reaction wheel really to really help this, but we'll move this around. And it won't really matter where we actually make this. We've got 400 meters per second in our tanks, or this level of this stage, and that should do. So this is a 1 second burn. So I'm just going to keep this quite a slow burn to bring ourselves in, and hopefully stay fairly accurate. So let's see. 28, 20. Let's just turn it off. That will be a landing. Okay, I don't necessarily want a landing, so let's just rotate around, and I will try and adjust this to get this to something reasonable. Okay? Okay, and here's what I've settled on. 24. That is still going to bend our escape trajectory back around to an orbit quite significantly, but we should just be able to make just a small correction to actually bring us into an orbit, and that's a little bit more accurate than what I was doing. We can do it even further than that, I guess. I guess now that I'm closer, I can make a radial, but shall we see if we can do it? Add a maneuver. Let's add a bit of radial. And let's see if we can do this without having to fire our engines in the atmosphere. There we go. So that is an orbit. And let me just reposition and let's give this a try. And here we go. This should take us to the point where we're going to pass through the atmosphere. And if we don't do anything, the next time we pass through, we'll actually land or crash in this case. But we're not going to be doing that. Once we go out here, assuming that we make it through the atmosphere, we are going to essentially bring up this side of our orbit to actually make, well, to make an orbit rather than just going into the planet. So we're just going to face backwards. And we have 410 electric charge. So we're going to head in towards the atmosphere, and then we're going to retract our solar panels for the pass, well, while we pass through the atmosphere. Only problem is, if we go behind the planet from where Earth is, where's Earth? Well, Kerbin, sorry. Yeah, there's the problem. This isn't so bad, as long as I make sure. Yeah, you see, there's the line towards our home planet. So as soon as we go behind the planet, well, it's sort of stuck at that point. So we had better prepare pretty much now, I think. We have enough electric charge, I hope. Let's bring in our solar panels. Oh, I forgot to put actions on this one. Well, let's just do this then. And there's absolutely nothing I can do for this antenna. There we go. Everything I can retract is retracted. Will it make it? Well, let's hope so. It's going to fly automated through retrograde. So let's get in towards the atmosphere, or indeed towards the surface if we get this wrong. And it doesn't really matter because the manned ship we can always control, so we don't necessarily need a relay, but we do need it to get the science back. Otherwise, we'll have to get another craft out here on the next transfer window, because remember we've fast forwarded about 100 days here or so, and that's not great. So we're going to be going rear first with 393 meters per second still in our tank. We're already in the atmosphere at this point, and we don't have a heat shield. What could go wrong? Exit the atmosphere in 2 minutes. Let's see how well this goes, shall we? Hopefully that's not going to blow up, because every stage thereafter is going to blow up, and then there's all kinds of problems. But the engine is normally fairly heat tolerant, and that then stops this antenna from taking a lot of the damage, a lot of the heat from the atmosphere. Alright, so we're traveling around pretty well. Our orbit is sweeping around, well, our escape trajectory is sweeping around, which means we are going to be coming in. There goes the heat, so as long as that doesn't go all the way to the end of that bar, we should be, I wouldn't say golden, but we should be okay. We've already lost connection back to base, so there's really nothing we can do now. Yay! as it comes round, and hopefully, well, you see, trajectory is adjusted. It is recalculating as we actually go through the atmosphere, so it's never quite what you think. You'll see, it's not. We're not aerodynamically stable as such, but we may be okay if what's the yeah, we're going back up through the atmosphere now, so as long as we don't flip over. Oh no, oh no, 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 no. You don't want to say we should, as long as we shouldn't flip over and then the entire craft just flips over. Well, yeah, now we are rotating, so that's helping a little bit. Trajectories is going mad now, but it still maybe thinks that we're on an escape trajectory. That'll be okay if we can resume connection to mission control sometime soon. Yeah, we're heading back up at the atmosphere now. That's good. But we may not make it into an orbit purely through just the atmospheric braking. Or we may actually need to use our engines once we're back up out of the orbit again. Okay, so let me skip forward a little bit until we're back out of the atmosphere and hopefully in contact with mission control. Here we are, we've just come back into contact with mission control, which means I'm going to point retrograde as soon as I can, and let's see if I can bring this path back again. So let's just burn the rest of our fuel, and there we are, we have an orbit, so didn't have to use very much at all. And that means that we have plenty for the other end of this orbit, so I can bring it in now if I want to. Yeah, we can bring that in comfortably. And then I can probably plan a maneuver here, add a maneuver. And we'll just circularize, shall we? And that is a nice orbit. Okay, so we got 40 days to go to the Duna landing, or the Duna lander, I should say. And we can now just warp to here. Come out. Good. And then we want to go straight to our maneuver node, which will take me a little bit of a while to get to because just the lack of control. And we're still using this injection stage. We still haven't shifted to our final drive, and that final drive should let us do quite a lot. We should. Have we got that flyby Duna? Yeah, we have actually completed the contract, which is good. Very, very good, in fact. And now it probably is going to give us a contract to land on Duna. Unfortunately, that may mean we have to do it on the next pass around the solar system, or it may invalidate us entirely because we've already got a craft out here and you can't use an existing craft to do that. So, as you might expect now, we can just raise up this orbit. And is that, are we out of fuel? We are out of fuel. Okay, fine. Let's get rid of that. And there we go. Now we've got a teeny tiny little engine, but it will do the job very, very well and have a great deal of maneuverability. So there we go. We're separated from our stage. I should have probably let that crash into Duna, but it's no problem anyway. There we have a communication satellite around Duna. Now we have another craft on its way in. In fact, before we do that, let's just take a look at the science we can do on this. We can do lots of science. Can we actually transmit it at full though? Not really. 14, 22, 11. Yes, we'll transmit it all. And that will get us some mystery goo observation, which is pretty good. And we have no probe control. Oh no, electric. Oh no. Oh no, I've just killed the craft. I've just killed the craft because I forgot to extend the solar panels. I used them all, didn't I, by sending the science. Oh well, we have a satellite around Duna. Can't do anything. I guess we could. Can we intercept it with the engineer and actually retract those from the outside? If you know whether we can do that, we do have another craft that's coming in soon, and may be able to do that. But yeah, my stupid mistake. I'm not going to go back on it. I'm not going to revert. That's just my own fault. So let's switch across to the Duna lander. And and that's probably where we should leave it for this episode. We've got the Duna lander coming in, and it sensibly has its solar panels out. Or anything else. We can do more. I can't actually relay it anymore because that relay is dead. Yes, I'm going to have to do some more thinking next episode, aren't I? How much Delta V have we got left? We've got 2,800, 2,900 Delta V remaining to do things with. And what can we do, indeed? So, yeah, I'm going to have to think about that. If you've got any suggestions, feel free to make them. We're not exactly stranded, but we won't be getting off the surface or returning any science until we can figure a way of relaying that communication back to Kerbin. Yes, so leave a bit of a cliffhanger to leave this episode on, but otherwise, we are coming in with 40 days left to think about a solution. What do you think? If you like the episode, like watching me making stupid mistakes, feel free to like, subscribe, and share as normal. Otherwise, we'll see you next episode for some more Kerbal Space Program. And, well, as always, guys, thanks for watching.